Well, welcome, lovely listeners. I am doing this short intro into today's wonderful podcast, which is allegedly Dave, because this is the last part of a whole conversation me and Dave had last week. And it was very much a conversation of two very different subjects. And what you've got today is basically how to clear your mortgage. Woo woo, I hear you say. The first part of the conversation is very deeper, very spiritual, a conversation that I absolutely loved. So I've decided to run this as part one, and then you're going to see the rest of the conversation in part two a bit later. Okay, well, enjoy. But I am mindful that we're past the hour and we haven't spoken about your exciting project that you're working on at the moment. So do you want to tell everyone what's happening with that at the moment?
Okay, well, it's called the Mortgage Project, and I actually woke up one day, like I think it's like 4 or 5 months ago. I woke up with this idea fully formed in my head on how I can actually pay off everybody's mortgage for them.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So yeah, this idea just came to me. I woke up like, oh bloody hell. So I've been working for the last 4 or 5 months to try and put it into action, and there have been lots and lots of amazing events, and you know to to make this thing even more amazing. Anyway, so the original idea was I start a trust. I start a trust, and I called it the Auric Liquescent Trust. The reason I call it Auric Liquescent Trust is because if anybody knows what golden liquid I talk about a lot when it comes to health, because I talk about urine therapy. Yeah. So Auric Liquescent means golden liquid.
Okay.
So I was actually going to call it the Auric Liquescent Extraction Trust, but I thought I was pushing it a bit too far. Yeah. So I start this trust, and anyone who's got a mortgage can become a beneficiary. Now, this is the hard bit. So everyone sort of chips in or donates £500 to the trust. Okay, and with that money from all the beneficiaries, I'd go out and buy let's say £500,000 worth of gold. So now there's the trust has a trust fund of £500,000 in gold, right, as an asset. So now the trust can start writing promissory notes, to the value up to the value of the asset that it has, and using the bank's own methodology of fractional reserve banking. As long as I have a certain reserve of the asset, I can write more in promissory notes. So I'm going to set my reserve amount to 0.00001%. So all I have to have is 0.00001% of the amount of promissory notes I can write out. So essentially, we're using the bank's own methodologies against them, and there's a bit more to it where I keep using the bank's techniques against them, and so they can't really argue with it. They can't say, "Oh, this isn't money," because it is money. It's exactly what money is. It's promissory notes. They can't say they don't accept it because banks accept promissory notes all the time. There's nothing they can do. Eventually, they have to accept it. That's very basically what's happened. But there's more to it. More things have happened since then, which will make it even more attractive for the banks and more hard for them to deny it.
So it's a trust that you're setting up, but is it also your own bank?
No, we're not. We're not. It's not a bank. It's just imagine you've been made a beneficiary of a trust. Yeah, so I don't know. Some company has decided that you're a beneficiary of their trust, and they have a trust fund that they want to disperse to you, right? And it's in the form of gold, but they're going to give you a promissory note, and so that promissory note has value. right? You can look and it's, oh, it's covered by this asset they've got. And you say, well, okay, well, this is money, that's the definition of it, it's cash. So you can use that cash to pay off your mortgage with.
Now, I asked you before we started recording, you haven't actually done this with a mortgage yet because this has all been getting set up to this point. Is that correct?
It
Yeah.
is. It
And do you
is.
have a mortgage yourself that you're going to be trying to settle?
No, I don't. Because when I found out what mortgages were about, I was like, no, I'm not going to be involved in this anymore. Um, but it's, I've been doing talks about how to deal with mortgages and what to do, because I could see there's a mortgage Armageddon coming. They're preparing for this. You'll own nothing and be happy, and they're going to start with people's houses. They've already started with trying to get rid of car ownership. They're trying to do it in a sneaky way. So make it as uncomfortable as it can possibly be to own a car, so that it's your idea rather than theirs. Yeah, they want you to think, well, yeah, it's not worth having a car, but really it's a WEF and UN initiative to get rid of car ownership. But yeah, so they want to get rid of everybody's property, and an obvious one is mortgages. They want everybody to be renting their home from the government or one of the government corporations. But we have to do whatever we can to stop it, and this is my way of trying to stop it.
Okay, so in simple terms, for anybody that's watching and listening, so I have a mortgage. I'm a challenger in the system. If I wanted to get that mortgage settled, what do I do first in terms of what you're setting up? So I would have a conversation with you, and then I'd have to sign something, pay some money. How does it work?
Okay, right now it's you can go to aurictrust.org.uk, right, and
Spell that for me.
it's AURIC, aurictrust.org.uk, and where you can actually pledge. So instead of actually passing any money, all you have to do is pledge to say, when the time comes, right, I will donate this amount of money. Yeah. Unfortunately, at this point, I've set a cutoff point because, as I said, there've been some developments where it's possible that we won't actually need the full asset to start with. So we're going to do a pilot scheme with the people who've pledged already, and then once we're successful, then we're going to open it up again, and anybody can actually join in. But we've got something like 200 people who've pledged, and I put the cutoff date at the end of January, and so that's it. So we're going to start with that. I think it comes down to 163 people, but so we're going to start with those people and do a pilot scheme with that.
And so you pledge, then what happens from your end? How long does this process typically do you think it's going to take?
Right. So I will actually give a start date. Right. So there's so many people pledged. There'll be a start date, and by that date, you're gonna have to put in your donation. Okay. I have to use words like donations and gifts, because if there's anything else, then it's then tax gets involved. So yeah, we want to avoid that. It's a private trust between a group of people who are pooling their money, so tax doesn't get involved, right? So there'll be a start date. By that date, you get your donation in, right? And then in a very short time after that, I'm not sure because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, the promissory notes will be sent out. Now, I'll I'll release a little bit of new information actually that I haven't actually told the group yet. Is that we have a firm of solicitors that are going to actually represent the trust, right? So it's not just a normal firm of solicitors. It's a firm that is trying not to be part of the system, as it were. So they're going to represent the trust. And so not sure yet whether the solicitors will send out the promissory notes on behalf of the beneficiary, or the beneficiary has to send it out themselves, and with the backing of the solicitors, who will draft the letter that goes with the promissory note that says, here are the assets that are behind the trust. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, do you know, have you got access to the QSIP numbers for the mortgages?
No, I haven't, but okay.
Sorry. Am I?
Yeah, QSIP numbers, they'll play a part because of the new developments that happen, but not from the mortgage side. Let's put it this way. But
Okay.
from my side, it will just be there'll be ample verification of the assets behind the promissory note. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, that's fine. So you can't give a timeline because obviously you haven't actually pushed one of these through yet. But in your thoughts right now, with everything that's set up, and it's obviously looking even more efficient than it was. I guess you would expect this should be hopefully 2-3 months or something of that nature.
Right. So I'm here in St. Lucia till April, but I'm facing the real possibility that might have to cut my time here short, because it's I've got a key meeting scheduled for in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks time, or just less than 2 weeks time now. And on the back of that meeting, I'll be able to set the start date, which again, I'm going to have to give the beneficiary some lead time, so that they don't have to come up with 500 quid,
Yeah.
at drop of a hat. So 2 weeks from now, if all goes well, and from that point, I might have to give a month's notice to the beneficiaries, right, for the donations. So it could be 6 weeks from now, which means I'd have to come back and then kick the process off and start sending out the promissory notes.
Okay.
So the promissory notes themselves, they're very high quality. They're going to be notarized, and they'll have a £5 note wrapped around one corner. So the bank is actually or the mortgage lender is going to get two promissory notes. One from the Bank of England and one from the trust. Again, we're trying to make sure that there's no way they can actually say that what they've received is not valuable. And from the beneficiary's point of view, not only because they've donated towards this trust, but there is a certain amount of money that's actually gone into the production of each promissory note. So part of the problem is that when people use promissory notes is that people's own guilty mind. We've been taught that like money doesn't grow on trees. You can't make money, that sort of thing. Where the truth is that you are the creditor in this system. You create all the money, and all the bank's done is inserted themselves in the middle of that process and said, no, you didn't create the money, we did, and we're giving it to you. No, you created the money, right? And they're just tricking you with this whole thing. So you as a beneficiary know that this piece of paper represents real money, so then you're going to have the mindset of knowing that this promissory note is valuable. People who've used them before have sent them out, the bank or whoever it is might go, oh no, we don't accept this, and then they go, oh, they've not accepted it. What should we do now? Let's try something else now. But if you've given the bank or the council, 4 bars of gold, and they said no, we don't accept it, and they didn't give you gold back, would you just go, okay, what should I do now? No, you'd fight for your gold. You fight for your money that you've given them. Yeah, where's it gone? Why haven't you given it back to me? But yeah, again, people have a guilty mind when it comes to promissory notes. And so they just go, oh, it didn't work. And oh, it was just a piece of paper anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also a lot to it, isn't there, in terms of how promissory notes are being issued, whether they're being issued correctly. Are you able to defend those notes correctly against the protocols of the bank and all the rest of it? So there is more to it than people originally think, and we've all been guilty of that. Well, it sounds very exciting. So I will be keeping a keen eye on what's going on. And I was wondering where you are, because I was thinking, well, he's not in England, and you said a while ago about being a few thousand miles away. So St. Lucia, I've been there once. I went there in 2007. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm very jealous right now.
Yeah. Just one more word about the project, right? The contingency plan is that we'll have a considerable asset behind us, right? If it all goes pear-shaped, the next part of the plan is to actually use that asset to actually go after the banks, right? Maybe use one test case that all the others can piggyback on, right? And with that asset, we'll be able to not only actually pursue it through the courts, through the high courts, but bring enough attention to it, right? So that the eyes of the whole country will be looking at this and understanding what's actually going on.
That's what we want.
So that's the project anyway, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks we're going to have some good news and be ready to start.
Amazing. Dave, what a wealth of information you have. It's been absolutely intriguing, especially for me. I love all of that 4th dimension stuff. If remind people how they can find you. I know you've got your normal website, so it's allegedlydave.com, right? And then the other one was
you want for the mortgage project is aurictrust.org.uk.
Cool. And are you on TikTok and Instagram and all of that?
Nah. Yeah, my YouTube channel is dmurphy25, and on the other video platforms like BitChute and Odyssey and Rumble, I'm allegedly Dave, at allegedly Dave.
Okay, cool. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you and speak with you this last hour and a half. I'm just wondering whether to do this in 2 parts and just sort of have the first bit and then do the mortgage bit as a second part. I don't know. But I like to finish these conversations with anything that you feel called to share before we finish.
Not really, apart from, don't take this world so seriously. Yeah. If you understand, what this world is and who you are in this world, right? It's a game. It's a game. I've lost a Ferrari, and I've lost a very nice Mercedes convertible, but it's nothing. It's part of the game. It's like playing Monopoly and you lose a house on Marylebone Street or whatever. How serious is that? No, if you treat this world like you're playing a video game, right? Enjoy it, even the bad stuff, right? Because the game of snakes and ladders is no fun without the snakes. Yeah, so enjoy the game.
Enjoy the game. Perfect. Well, thank you again. I know the listeners and the viewers are going to love this. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.